Today is a Q&A special. Why? I made my first video on YouTube aimed at sending to a couple of close friends. I didn't really think that people would want to hear from me, but it kind of took off. That really did surprise me. The channel recently hit 50,000 subscribers, and that is a bit of a tradition on YouTube. So you sent me some questions on Patreon and also on YouTube. You sent me questions about soup and hair dye and about whether I could beat 5 Uta Friths in a game of dodgeball, which for legal reasons, I am absolutely going to answer. And we have questions about autism and about diagnosis, and those will all be answered by the end of the video. So stay tuned to the end. John Wood on Patreon wants to know if I've ever dyed my hair and what colour would I pick tomorrow. Well, yeah, absolutely. I dyed it blue once when I was 15 years old, and it was only the spray-on dye, and it washed straight out, which was kind of good because the school were not thrilled about me turning up with blue-tinged hair. So luckily my hair is black and it sort of mostly hid it and it never really became too much of an issue. Tomorrow, I don't know, how about green? It's kind of hard to dye black hair. Maybe yellow? I don't know, what colour should I dye my hair? Question 2, what was the worst food that I tasted that I actually really liked? The worst food that I've tasted that I've also liked? Isn't that a contradiction? I did a Reddit stories video recently about the guy who only ate very expensive stew and it was spoiled because he found out it had tomato paste in it. Is it like that one? Anyway, I think probably the best example would be durian. So my mother is Malaysian and she calls it the heaven and hell fruit, as in it smells like hell and tastes like heaven. I think durian smells like one of those urinal lozenges, like a toilet cake. And I strongly suspect it tastes like one too. Death on Screen YouTube asks, what breed of cat would I be? It's gotta be a Maine Coon, right? Or possibly a Norwegian forest cat. Big ears, big paws, genuinely friendly, and they all wear really snazzy sweaters because autumn is my favorite season, specifically because that's when I can get out all of my cozy jumpers. So, Maine Coon or Norwegian forest cat. Leslie T on YouTube asks, if I learned crochet, what would I make? And back to woodwork, what would I make? Probably little crochet ducks. Now, woodwork is the better story because that was a full ADHD impulse hobby that I had during the COVID lockdown. I was making this little desk tray, which was a part of a series of builds that I was following along on YouTube, and I got bored and I stopped and I never picked it back up. In fact, before that, I made a nice table, I made this bench seat, I made some nice little things, and then I just stopped and I haven't picked it up since. That hobby has died. Charlotte asks on Patreon, Parallel Universe Mike, 16 dogs. Desert exploration, a channel that isn't about autism, what's it about? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Probably making deep dive videos about space, because in the desert you get these great nighttime images of the night sky because of the lack of light pollution, because no one really wants to live in the desert out of choice, therefore no civilization, therefore no lights, right? So it depends whereabouts in the desert, but yeah, probably it would be a YouTube channel about space. Shape of Soup on Patreon asks, favourite soup? Vegetable, obviously. Favourite shape? Cat-shaped. Would you watch George Wendt eat bean soup? I don't know who George Wendt is. Maybe some of you could tell me. And could I beat 5 Uta Friths at dodgeball? I mean, I'm super clumsy, but Uta Friths is in the twilight years. I think I probably could beat 5 Uta Friths at dodgeball. Kind of easily. Now, Simon Baron Cohen's? I don't know, I think I could probably beat Simon Baron Cohen's, 5 of them. 5 Francesca Happe's, I think now it's starting to get a little bit more difficult and a bit more challenging. What do you think? Could you beat 5 Uta Friths at dodgeball? How many Uta Friths would there need to be before you lost at dodgeball? I think 12. Wendy on Patreon asks, what was the most memorable blooper that I had when filming? The most memorable blooper has to be the random steam train in a tranquil forest. What does the autistic community want? I was filming one of these videos in a beautiful woodland.
It's a steam train.
and I said, what do autistic people want? And then choo-choo, steam train arrives out of nowhere. Obviously trains. Obviously, I summoned the train. Right, Alice Rainey on Patreon here. How long does reading and sorting YouTube comments take? And what does my morning routine consist of? Well, I used to just read YouTube comments. But the YouTube interface for reading comments, particularly if you're keeping track of threads and things, it basically isn't there. It's really difficult. I like to read the comments. I do. I try and read them all. But I can read faster than I can type. And I do type quite quick, but I do read faster than I can type. And it's really hard to give people considered replies. And some of the comments can be really, really long. Now, as a software engineer, I've made myself a little tool to help me track YouTube comments and the replies and threads and all this stuff, because YouTube does not provide these tools. Any other creators out there that are interested, just let me know, get in touch, and I'll hook you up. Very nearly 60,000 comments on the channel in under 3 years. It's a very chatty, very busy place. And apparently we're antisocial. Who'd have thought? Not me. Anyway, back to the video. But some of you like to type, some of you can write. There doesn't appear to be a character limit to YouTube comments. At least I haven't seen it yet. I have had to scroll a long way to read some of your comments. You know who you are. My morning routine is pretty boring, to be honest, but at some point I'm going to film it for a video. I do talk about it actually a bit in my video about routines versus schedules, which should be on screen now. In that, I kind of go into all the little subroutines that run during my day, especially in the morning. I've got quite a lot of little routines. Give that video a watch next. I think it's probably worth a watch. 16 cats is a pretty effective alarm system, especially if you feed them at the same time that you need to do something. So it is possible to apply behaviourist principles to a herd of cats. As you know, if any of you have watched my live streams, we have a school bell and I give that a little ring and all the cats are bell trained to come to the bell. It's a great way to just recall them, okay? Because they do go outside and we can bring them all in really, really fast with a ring of a bell. Literally seconds they'll all arrive, except for Polly who's deaf. But it's fairly reliable. 15 cats can be summoned. If you train your cats to eat at the same time as you do something, like maybe make yourself some food, it's a great way because they won't let you forget. But the morning, Yorkshire tea in a pot, porridge usually, or I make a huel, and I do my skincare routine, which usually involves putting on some moisturiser and SPF. And since the eye surgery, I've also had this eye drop routine, just quietly dinging my phone every 4 hours, which I've had to do eye drops with. I mean, timers are great. Whoever said use timers as a tip for managing yourself really didn't have to set that many timers, right? My phone is just full of timers. It's just constant timer jump scares. Pardalo asks on Patreon, have you been swimming or diving since the eye surgery? How did it go? No, I haven't. I haven't even been in the sea. And the reason is a bit of a saga. My vision had got bad enough that the diving stopped being safe. I couldn't go diving, really. It's not safe. I've had both eyes rebuilt with new artificial lenses. I've had 6 weeks of eye drops and instructions to just go nowhere near the water. And just as everything started to settle this summer, my right eye went wonky again and I started losing vision in it. Just like before, really quickly. And last week I was back in Liverpool having laser surgery, which sounds dramatic. It does mean this lens is now locked into my eye and it can't be changed, but yeah. And it's better, but it's not yet fixed. But at least the laser surgery doesn't prevent me from going in the sea, so I could probably go in the sea now. I'm thinking about putting together perhaps episode 3 of the eye saga. If you're listening to me now and this story is new to you and you want to know about my experiences as an autistic adult going through cataract surgery, if you want to know about my experiences as an autistic adult, losing my sight and going through cataract surgery, all in the space of just a few months, it is available on the channel now. Just a little content warning. On the first video, there is some footage of my actual eye surgery, about 2/3 of the way in. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too graphic, but I have had complaints. And like I say, I do read all of the comments. So that's linked on the screen as well. The sea is still there. It is waiting for me. It's actually still warming up. It's at its warmest in October. and I do intend to get back into it very, very soon. Isaac on Patreon asks if I have any plans for future content or advocacy. And yes, absolutely I do. And I have a couple of secret biggish plans, which you'll all find out about if you're still here in about a year. Panda from YouTube wants to know how old I was when I was formally diagnosed. The answer is 42, which is coincidentally the year you get the answers to everything, apparently. Lucas wants to know if there's been any unexpected changes after diagnosis and how I see myself and how I act. Yeah, once you can see something and you have an understanding that other people have had similar experiences, and you can learn from their experiences and how they manage certain things, it means you stop sort of running on autopilot and you can be more intentional with your life. At least that's how it's been for me. So I've been able to talk to other neurodivergent people, other autistic people specifically, and just sort of see, hey, how are you managing yourself? How do you manage sensory accommodations? How do you manage employment? And it's been great. And honestly, this YouTube channel too has also given me kind of a very privileged position, a bit like being in the middle of a wide spider web. And I hear stuff from all kinds of people from all over. I'm constantly receiving information about how things are going from different people, and it gives you a really interesting kind of wide view about how people are coping or not. I never expected that. The unexpected change isn't unmasking so much. As you age, you add more box files to your storage room of memories, and a formal diagnosis, really self-identification does too, but for me, the formal diagnosis was the key to the room, really. It kind of gives you an opportunity to go back and read those files in a new way, as though you can now speak the language of those files. Nino on YouTube asks, being a parent before versus after diagnosis. Well, my son's at university now, so I've not had the experience of being a post-diagnosis parent of a dependent child. But it does make you look at things again through this new lens, and it looks completely different. I think one of the things is it makes you assess what you previously believed to be just family traits as possibly autistic traits. I'll leave it there because other people are involved. Question from YouTube. Autistic parenting tips, and what does veganism look like in your household? Favorite meals. I make a lot of stir fries. The parenting tips, it's a whole area that I haven't gone into, partly for the privacy of my family, mostly because there are real people here. So if I start saying, this is how you were parented and this is how I would have done it differently, I feel like kind of it needs to be more generalized, okay, before I can put it out on YouTube. I need to think through it first. I will definitely get back to you on the parenting side of things. Yeah, the meals genuinely involve an awful lot of pasta and variations on a theme, and an awful lot of stir fries and variations on a theme there too. Question from Alice on Patreon. Should autism and ADHD be merged into a single spectrum? Would it be useful? Wow, that's an amazing question. Something that surprises a lot of people is that until 2013, you weren't allowed to be diagnosed with both ADHD and autism. So the ICD and the DSM treated them as mutually exclusive. Since the DSM's rules have changed, we've learned that the overlap is actually enormous. You're more likely to be ADHD than not. The genetics correlate substantially. Huge numbers of people sit across both. But there are still countries where clinicians and diagnosticians still only diagnose one. Germany, for example, which means that if you have ADHD, you will not receive an autism diagnosis, and vice versa. One ends up blocking you from the other one. So should we merge them, given there is treatment for ADHD, there is no treatment for autistic traits? So I'd say probably not, but I'm open-minded. The categories are just tools. They are a way of a framework, a way to get some sort of objectivity and some sort of standard to something. Nearly everything in the DSM is cultural and social. Even so, it's more about how to support people. It's like how to get people the support that they need as quickly as possible. It might just be that autism, at least in the way it's currently described, needs to come out. These are questions and debates for another day. Amaris on Patreon asks, how important are tone indicators and should they be etiquette? I mean, since the dawn of the internet, using caps lock has always meant shouting, right? Like, the fact that you sort of reduce communication down to just text, there has to be some tone indicator, right? Like, they're like a patch for a missing feature. And most of the internet has adopted the use of one or more, a few different tone indicators. Like speech. Speech isn't just speech. Like, you can't transcribe my video into just words and go, that's what Mike was communicating, because speech has prosody and text doesn't. A tone tag is just adding that prosody back into the text, but just making it explicit. And I think as an accessibility feature, it's like a ramp, and right, ramps help more groups than just the people that they were built for. Forgetting to use them, I don't beat yourself up over it. I mean, I use sarcasm an awful lot. I tend to try to put tone indicators on it, but I do also feel like if you're watching a British man on YouTube or you're listening to a British man on YouTube, sarcasm is kind of like expected, as opposed to a tone indicator would probably be better indicating not sarcasm than this is sarcastic, I think, sometimes on this channel anyway. I'm in favour of tone indicators. I like them. I think they're a great idea. Miss Pat on Patreon asks, autism moms, internalised ableism, undiagnosed ND, and how do adult children band together? Well, if I knew the secret to that, I would unite the tribes with it. I wish I knew. I would love to communicate to the autism mom, which isn't necessarily a fair thing. I mean, I have said autism moms before because we all know what we mean by autism mom, don't we? But it's not that every mother is an autism mom. Every mother of an autistic child is an autism mom. It's a capital letter autism mom. I think what I'd want them to know is that we're actually on the same side. Nobody is stealing resources from their precious children. Their precious children will grow up to become precious adults. And just like the rest of us, probably struggling in some respects to find their way through the world. We're on the same team from YouTube, from RxM on YouTube, making new friends, late diagnosed ADHD, when you overthink how you come across and people, and also coping with life admin, big losses when older, with little or no support system. There's quite a few parts here. The overthinking one first. Stop trying to white knuckle it, okay? Stack the deck in your favour instead. Just try to participate, involve yourself. I give you permission, give yourself permission to involve yourself in events that are structured and interest-based and recurring events rather than sort of like a one-off thing. Like, all of that completely does the social heavy lifting for you. It's just like diving, you know, you have to be somewhere at a certain time, you have to do things a certain way, you have to pick up things and then move somewhere else and then get on a boat with these things. And then at this time, you know, it'll be like 11:30, that's when you go into the water and you'll be expected back by 12:30 and then blah, 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 blah. And the structure is just there and you just get on with it. And I've developed some great friendships from it. I've got a more shimmering example for you. So Swifties and friendship bracelet making and trading, right? That's a social ritual with props and rules and a script. The improvising is already done for you. You can make friendship bracelets, you can share them with people, you can exchange them. Obviously not random people on the street, right? But like in a certain place, at a certain time, in a certain concert or whatever, like a shared room with people with the same sort of obsessions as you, it completely removes all of the high stakes guesswork. And that's why people go to these things, because everyone's running the same script. It can be a lot more fun. There's a lot, your guard can fall a little. The flaking one is a totally different problem. And it's not about you. When people say we should meet up, we should go for coffee, you should come over for a barbecue or whatever. For a lot of people, they don't mean it. It's just a pleasantry. They're being polite, actually. It's not a plan. It's just language, phatic language. And once you learn that, it doesn't sort of cure it from a loneliness perspective, but it sort of relocates the sting. They're not rejecting you. They're not flaking out on you. They're just speaking a different language using the same words that you understand, but the meaning is completely different. The fix, of course, is being the one who names a date. Make it easy for people to say yes. Make it easy for people to say yes. Something that's convenient for them at the time that they can make it. Concrete, it beats vague every time when you're trying to set a date. The admin with no support system or limited support system, I'm not going to pretend that I have the complete answer to this for you and for anyone watching this video, because nobody does, but I can speak to the systems half. Write everything down. Automate everything that can be automated. I use Notion, and I find that makes my life so much easier. When I went to one of my earlier hospital appointments and I just couldn't speak, I couldn't get the words out, I came across like an absolute fool, wasting everybody's time. I just passed my laptop over to the doctor and said, everything is there. Just look for yourself. And the doctor had to ask a medical student for help in operating my MacBook because she'd only ever used Windows. That kind of made me feel a little bit better about the situation because my incompetence in advocating for myself and my incompetence in communicating and just being an adult and dealing with life admin, well, it's kind of equivalent to the same incompetence of the consultant I was talking to in using a MacBook. So medical student helped her manage to navigate to get the letters and all the important stuff from it, right? But I'd written everything down. It's all in there. And on the healthcare side of things, if you can find one trusted professional, so a good GP, an advocate, a solicitor for legal stuff or whatever, if you find the one good one, you hold on to them. That's worth 10 acquaintances. That's worth 10 just mildly okay, satisfactory versions of the same thing. Speaking of which, if you're watching this video and you haven't done it yet, make yourself your healthcare passport, all right? It is just, it's basically Calm You in written form, which you can use when you go to the emergency department. And without it, yeah, I've had to use a healthcare passport this year. That was my advice from last year. There's a video about that too. It's linked in the description below. I hope I was able to answer your question, at least in part. Daniel over on Patreon asks, when public bodies keep breaching Equality Act reasonable adjustments, how do you protect your nervous system, hold the line, and not internalise being difficult? Dan, wow, okay, there's a story behind that. I can sense it, and this deserves more than I can give it in a light-hearted 50k Q&A video. But it's quite possibly that they are failing a statutory duty here, depending on where you are. There are different protections for autistic people, for disabled people. Protect your nervous system in the same way that you would protect from any hostile environment. In writing, on your schedule, keep records of everything. And also enforcing the law and one person fighting public bodies, you're going to get nowhere. And that's because no one enforces or changes law alone. That's what MPs and ombudsmen are for. And I'm glad yours is on it, but maybe this should have a full video, okay? Because I'm sure it applies to other people too. Question from YouTube. Protecting yourself when disclosure gets weaponized by people you trusted. Staying grounded when people you love shake your self-acceptance. Well, first of all, I mean, disclosure. Disclosure is information about you. I have previously made a video talking about 3 areas of disclosure: your employer or your family or your school, your education system, your place of education. Should you disclose? There are even flowcharts there. Disclosure is information about you. What somebody does with that information is data about them, isn't it? When a person weaponizes your diagnosis, they haven't discovered a new weakness in you. They're revealing something about themselves, I think. Your self-acceptance shouldn't live in other people's hands. Don't trust your self-worth to somebody else's mood on any particular day, okay? This feels like therapy. Maybe this is for a future video. Do let me know in the comments if you would like Mike's therapeutic Thursdays or something. Roger Adams asks, the 3 most important things I wish I'd understood when starting out as a creator. Well, yeah, 3 things. Okay. Probably the first thing is not to stress too much about the whole algorithm thing. The algorithm is a function of audience behavior, but it feels uncomfortable to work for an invisible robot overlord that decides the fate of the channel, which is why I ask you to subscribe and why I ask you to like the video and why I ask you to leave a comment. You'll find other YouTubers doing similar things. The reason for that is that these are key metrics that the algorithm uses to judge whether or not I or any other creator is doing a good job. It's fair to say that trolls leaving trolling comments on videos does actually promote those videos in the algorithm. So it's not so bad. That's probably the second thing, is don't sweat the trolls, because all engagement is good engagement. If I post a video and you're talking about it within the first sort of 2 to 3 days, you're helping. It doesn't matter if you hate it or disagree with it or like it, the engagement helps. Some creators use that to their advantage by farming that kind of engagement. I don't do that here, at least I try not to do that here. I try to build content that is nuanced, which again is kind of anti-algorithmic in a way. It's not strong opinions weakly held. I try to build content that is evidence-based. I try to make stuff that I wished I had had when I was younger. The third thing is I didn't realize I was going to make some friends doing this. I've made some really wonderful friends from all around the world making this channel, and it's honestly been quite remarkable, really. From this little room here on a little island in the middle of the sea, I've been able to meet up with some wonderful people, and I've learned so much from them. I don't know, surely that's what life's all about, in some respect, depending on how you define what you want out of life. For me, yeah, that kind of connection and being understood and being able to help is great. I don't feel that way about croc rules so much, but we do have quite a few of those. On a practical note, audio needs to be good, but actually what you look like or how you come across, I think, is much less important. If you're kind of just starting out and you feel that sense of overwhelming imposter syndrome and you don't feel right, well, you put the reps in and you'll get there. That whole idea of labeling yourself almost in a negative way, when you start labeling things and other experiences as well, and you go, oh, that's not for me, not for people like me, that's not for people like me. I do hear every single day on YouTube, because I see the notifications and I do look because I'm kind of curious, and there'll be, you're not really autistic. No, YouTube is not for autistic people like you. YouTube is not for people like you. You're not autistic. Or I have people saying things like, you're stealing support from level 3 autistic people, or all this sort of bullshit. And you can kind of see what internalized labels, whether it's ableism or some otherism, you can see what labels people hold because they will tell you. I think the important thing is, if you're listening to me now, is just don't take on other people's labels about who you are and who you should be. That's just another human being with a limited amount of time on this planet, in this existence. And so are you. Don't live your life because of, adopting all of these labels that come from other people. They can get fucked, honestly. Oh, and to every one of you who asked me questions about the cats. I like big cats, itty bitty cats, ginger tabby cats, mink and kitty cats. I like black cats, white cats, broad stripes. Get your claws clipped, let your tail fly. All 15 of them, 16 of them, all 16 of them. Their names, their ages, their jobs, their salaries, the lot. I feel like they deserve their own video, not to be just crammed into a 50k Q&A, because many of you asked me roughly 300 times about all of the pets and all of the cats, and I am going to bring you some data and some B-roll. If you'd like more, there's a video on screen in just a moment, which is what YouTube thinks you're going to most want to watch next. And usually they're right. I tend to find they're right with this sort of thing. It's going to arrive around here also. And if you'd like to join the Patreon, you certainly can. It includes the Discord, it includes videos, different tiers, get different benefits. And yeah, there's another video up soon. There are a few videos that I've been working on. They just need editing. I just need some time to edit them and get them out. So they'll be with you very, very soon. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next one, or on the Discord, on the Scratching Post. See you later. Bye.